The Crypto Street podcast is hosted by Crypto Dale, Prince, and Killer Whale, who can be found on Twitter at CryptoDale, at Killer Whale, K1LLERWH4LE, and at 13Prince31. None of this should be construed as investment advice. For information on how to join our private Telegram group, The Pod, please email tcsp@protonmail.com. The Crypto Street podcasts are officially sponsored by 21 Cryptos, the world's first and only cryptocurrency trading magazine. Visit 21cryptos.com and enjoy 50-plus pages of pro tips and predictions, an analysis of the best 21 coins to invest in for the month, trading lessons and articles from your favorite pros, price action event calendars, entertainment, and lots more. Stay ahead of the game and get your copy today. Visit 21cryptos.com.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of Crypto Street Podcast. My name is Crypto Dale. As always, I'm joined by Killer Whale.
What's up?
Prince.
Happy to be here.
And our special guest today, you'll know him by one of the nicest guys in crypto. Notsofast is with us today. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. And thanks for saying I'm nice, because you're nice too.
I don't hear that often, so that's nice to hear.
Twitter didn't think he was very nice when they banned you.
Yeah, I got the 12-hour boot there for hijacking someone's post. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, they'll get you in certain ways. I don't know. You got to be careful.
Well, it's just funny because some of the things I've posted, it'd probably get a 2-day ban, and then I just hijack someone's post and we get a 12-hour ban. Oh, well. It happens.
Just take a long nap, wake up, and shit post again.
The best was it was overnight, so it didn't matter.
There you go.
Again, thank you very much for joining us, Notso. The question we ask every guest, everyone out there that's listening kind of wants to know how you got involved into crypto, what it was that triggered your interest to get in.
Sure. Well, everybody sort of has like their own roundabout way of getting in where they heard about it and then much later on they got in. So I was always a reader of the Californian tech blog called Boing Boing. So I heard about Bitcoin in 2011 and I downloaded a wallet, and I didn't start mining in wallet, but realized years later that Bitcoin was kind of weird and libertarian and it turned me off. But then Dogecoin was kind of inclusive and cool. And so I got in via Dogecoin, like late 2013. I was hitting up faucets and thinking like, okay, this is way better than like Bitcoin, where everybody's just a libertarian trying to espouse their weird ass political views on everyone else. This is like inclusive and interesting. So I thought, all right, I'm dirt poor. I'm going to spend a bunch of money from a credit card on a GPU and create money for myself. And, why the hell not? I'm just going to do that. And, it's sort of slowly snowballed into me saying, all right, I'm just going to mine whatever and buy Doge with it and only get that forever and build just the biggest stack that I can, to finding some other speculative stuff to mine. 2014 was kind of the summer of altcoins, where like 20 new proof of work coins would drop every day and you would try and sort the good ones from the garbage, which was most of them. But that's how I got in, is just like being into mining and dumping right away, or slinging stuff, or figuring out what might be good to hold on to. And, I don't have any Doge right now. Kind of wish I did. but yeah, that was where it all started. And there was a big cohort of people that got in just from Doge, and they should pay their respects to the almighty Dogecoin.
That's crazy. I didn't know like Doge is that big for getting people into it. Like that was before when I got into it. So that's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't that like not a really cool thing to think of now, but at the time, like there was just people like slinging tips all over the place. You get like a Dogecoin tip on Twitter, and you'd be like, "What the heck? Oh, this is real money? Okay, cool. Whatever." Yeah, that's so. Yeah, Doge was actually really big. It was like in the top 10 cryptocurrencies at the time, which wasn't a big deal then, but it was something.
Yeah.
So speaking of mining, I know when I kind of first got into this space, I was asking someone about mining, and they're like, just shoot Notsofast a message. If you can get a hold of him, he's known as really the father of mining, so to say, in this space. What do you say, aside from, building large amounts and fat stacks? What's the most intriguing thing to you that got you really into the mining aspect instead of just, purchasing other things and trying to build stacks that way?
Well, the really cool thing about mining is I thought, I had like a trading background for a while, and I thought mining was cool because it allowed you could sort of see it as an option to buy or produce the asset rather than trade it on the market. So it's sort of an extra factor in the game theory. And what I really liked about like new launch mining of altcoins is nobody kind of knows anything about them once they launch. And so there's a speculative play you can make there where if you try to mine it at rock ass bottom prices, you could end up with holding like something that turns out to be a real winner. And, we've kind of seen that play out. If you guys know PivX, like that launched at the beginning of...
That was insane.
Yeah, beginning of January 2016. And I was mining it, and I was also buying miner dumps at market for like 200 Satoshi just for weeks on end. I just set buy orders, right? And, I wasn't smart. I didn't hold on to all of it, obviously, but like... it was one of those things where it's really good. Another recent good one this year was like Bridgecoin or Crypto Bridge or BCO, where these people knew like they wanted to do an exchange. They didn't want to fuck with the legalities of an ICO, so they just made a proof of work coin mineable, and it was awesome to mine for like the first 2 days. It was just really, really good. So that type of play where you can get something really cheap. It's like the equivalent would be being the first person to buy in on an ICO with a special deal where you get 90% off, right? Like it's just an extra special way to get rock bottom pricing, and ROI is the name of the game for mining anyway, right? Like in at the lowest possible point, out at the highest, right? So
I think the craziest like mining experience I had, because mining was definitely like, that's what got me into crypto.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was how I first got in. My brother came up to me, he's like, hey man, let's build some mining rigs and let's start getting some Ethereum here.
Excellent.
But we're not really into the mining anymore. Just, it's not, the electricity fees where I'm at is it sucks. So,
yeah.
But I remember, playing Zcash on the launch day there. And we were mining it right from the get go. And that was insane. The profitability for that short time span. But it was just crazy.
Yeah. Really good for you guys to mine Zcash on launch day with your own rigs, because that was very, very hyped. And the people that did cloud mining like I didn't do too great on it. And the people that had their own rigs.
Ugly, I heard.
So nice work, man.
I remember when that thing hit exchanges, it was absurd. Just seeing the gigantic price it debuted at, and then that cascading sea of red candles all the way down, just kept dropping and dropping and dropping.
That was my probably biggest missed opportunity on profit potential in my life, because they had the futures trading on BitMEX leading up to that, right? Before launch for a couple months there. And I was holding a fair bit of those futures. And sure enough, they didn't have, at the time, BitMEX didn't really have the max limit, like the limit up, limit down stuff for these kind of new futures. So they didn't have that. And I remember like it went over like maybe 10 Bitcoin or something per futures contract at one point. And I'm sitting there like, wow, I unloaded all of these for next to nothing compared to what it's going at now.
Oh man.
Kind of depressing to look back on, but yeah.
But who could have seen, and it was all this captive supply too. Like, yes, Zcash did have prints at like 3,300 Bitcoins per Zcash, but at the time there were also only 0.01 Zcash available for trade anywhere. So like, it was kind of, the futures reflected that a little bit when they shot up to 10 Bitcoin, but it would be really, really difficult to predict that, and really, really lucky if you can get a sell-off then. I'm sure some people did. I'm sure a few people did. But like,
there's got to be guys who just cleaned house with that.
Yeah, I'm sure there were.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, that whole aspect of mining is definitely the reason why I find it exciting.
Yeah, it's wicked. You get that one hit, and it's just like, next thing you know, you're doubling, tripling, getting crazy returns. It's just like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So Prince kind of alluded there too, not so that the mining kind of can raise your electricity. When I first kind of got started, I had no clue. To me, mining just kind of meant free coins or tokens. So,
right.
What do you use to kind of factor in what it costs versus the income potential? If you're scouting a new thing to, you might want to start mining, what sources do you use to view as, what this is going to cost me X versus the income potential being Y?
So it's pretty great to get a feel for mining inputs by going to Coin Wars or What to Mine using their mining calculators, because you can figure out, you can play with it a bit. You can plug in your electricity costs in your area, and you could price out what it costs to buy a rig, like build a GPU rig or buy an ASIC rig or whatever, and then you can work out what the hash rate of each one is and calculate what you would get on average if you were mining. But the problem with those sites is they only give you a momentary snapshot of what that is right now. And as you guys know, crypto is volatile as fuck, and that stuff doesn't stay the same. So there's a difficulty in like actually calculating it, and for a lot of people, that's where their mind goes like, oh well, if this calculator doesn't show me what it's going to be, then like how do I know, right? And so that's the risk, but that's where the opportunity also lies. So you can sort of suss out a brand new product and a launch product, and maybe it is like a little bit similar to another cryptocurrency that's already out there. So you can look at the other cryptocurrency that's out there, check out its market cap, and be like, all right, so this has got a market cap of like 15 million. Maybe this new launch coin could potentially have a market cap of 15 million, and maybe it's got 15 million coins. So that means that I would need to mine this at lower than $1 a coin to break even on it. And then if you look at the specs and you think, all right, there's a lot of top-heavy blocks at the beginning. If I get a nice hash order and I hit this hard, I could probably burn a bunch of the quick early coins for like 5 cents a piece. And if they do shoot up to $1, then bam, I just made a 20x. And you'd be surprised how often that happens. Very often it's a very quick back-of-the-envelope mental calculation to see if it's even worth it. And sometimes it's obviously not. Like sometimes there's going to be a 50% pre-mine and 1 coin per block rewards, where you know that you're not going to have as much as the devs until like the year 2029, 28 or something crazy like that. Like, sometimes it doesn't work out at all, but you get, the more you look at it, the more you realize like, okay, maybe this is worth doing, maybe this is not worth doing. And it's sort of just quick mental math is what you get to do. But comparing with existing projects, and there are more and more valid ones every day, is probably the best way to say, all right, I'm going to mine this, or, oh, fuck, I'm not touching this. I'm going to wait for the next one. Because there's always a next one.
Yeah, always another play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some people maybe listening in that aren't really keen or in tune with mining, obviously some things we've said might be a little over their head. So with it being so complex, how do you explain the actual mining, what the whole process or what it really is to people? We've kind of touched base on some things. I know one time I don't do any mining, but I do some staking, and trying to tell that to someone in Iowa, like, hey, I'm staking this coin, or they're like, you use A1 or Heinz 57, what do you use here for that? So just a broad high level to someone you'd, say you're going to explain it to your grandma, what essentially it is.
Yeah, that explaining it to a grandma is always difficult, because you're having to explain to people why it's safe and why it's secure. So the easiest way that I do it is like, okay, well, let's say that like Bitcoin's money and people are using it. They're using it to buy and sell things and pay for things. And every single transaction goes onto a page of transaction records. And that's like a ledger, like a bank account. But everybody's is together and everybody can see it. And once you get a big stack of those pages, it turns, you can group them into a block. And everybody has a computer that's trying to look for those blocks and make sure that all the transactions in them are legit. And if every computer agrees, then hooray, that block gets put in the bank, put in the backlog, and then we work on the next block together. So mining is the type of work that everybody's computer does to make sure that all those transactions are approved by every computer in the network, and nobody can cheat. Because if one computer tries to cheat, all the other computers are going to say, well, your stuff doesn't line up with everybody else's. We have a consensus that we all agree, so we put that block in the file, and I'm sorry, but your garbage fake block gets thrown in the garbage. So that's generally like the way that I explain it to people, is mining is a process by which everybody knows that they're on the same page, and we don't have to trust each other to know that your Bitcoin is yours and my Bitcoin's mine, and everybody has this much, and this is where they move around. We know where they all are at all times. So it's not the greatest explanation. I'm sure there are better ones out there on like YouTube videos and stuff. But if I find if I get people to visualize a bunch of transactions on a page and then pages in a stack and stacks in a block, it helps them sort of sort it out in their heads and get closer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it took me like 3 months to figure out what it actually was, but even while I was already mining, right? So like,
oh yeah, like everything about crypto is it's a rabbit hole, so there's always so much to learn, right?
Yeah. And that's even just scratching the surface, that explanation that I said. And I'm not like a technical guy at all. People think I am, but I'm really like, all I know is from what I learned doing on my own, very much like you guys did. You learn about trading, you learn about candlestick charting, you wrap your head around a bit of it, you can use a bit of it right away, but then you come up against something that, doesn't work for you, and you're like, well, that was supposed to work for me, so why didn't it work? And then exactly like you said, just fall further down the rabbit hole, chasing the knowledge,
What's a typical day in your crypto life?
Well, I suck at saying no to things, so usually like 18 to 20 hours a day.
I was just gonna say, did we get a pity invite here?
Not at all, man. No, this is the type of thing where I can say an emphatic yes to it and be like, yes, I get to. This is good. But like, it's mostly just there's so much cool stuff out there, and people are doing so much that's great. I've got a pretty good scam radar now, but there's still so many enthusiastic people trying to do something new in the space. And they're like, can you get involved in this? Can you give me some advice or some help on this? And I want to say yes to everything. So like I have a business in real life, and crypto has made me very fortunate enough that I've been able to hire a general manager to run that for me, so I can be a complete degenerate and just do crypto all day. And that is pretty much what I do. So I talk to people about projects, kind of all over the world. Get up at like 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning because I'm an old guy and I can do that. And try and keep myself awake, talking to other people in different parts of the world, and that's basically my life. And do as much of that as I can without my girlfriend leaving my ass, and then it makes it worthwhile, because the people that I've met and the really good ideas that I've seen and had a chance to become a part of, it's worth it. So between like Twitter and Telegram and Slacks and talking to people on the phone and meeting in person, like there's always something cool going on, and I've been fortunate to align myself with some good projects, and I think that's where stuff's going for me, is like a little more focused work on some other crypto and crypto adjacent projects, as well as the sort of trading and portfolio management that you guys do.
Yeah, that sort of progression seems to be fairly common in crypto. People get involved on Twitter, they get interested, they maybe make a Twitter parody account for crypto, and before you know it, they're doing, tangential things to it, like side projects. Look at us. We started shitposting on Twitter, and now we're trying to get this podcast, so it's like, having a great time doing it, talking to smart people like you. And I think that's one of the crazy things about crypto, or one of the craziest things, is that it's 24/7. So if you don't want to stop kind of like looking at the markets and being involved and like being like active in it, you don't really ever have to. And it's kind of an addicting thing in a lot of ways. Not only the returns, but just it's constantly something to look at, something to read about, it's always going on. It's always happening. So
yeah, exactly. There's always something interesting, someone to talk to share an idea with, or, the drama just doesn't stop coming either. There's plenty of dramatic individuals in the space. And
Wow. Is there? Yeah, we've got a project, Notso, that we're kind of working on.
Cool. Hit me. What is it?
Yeah.
Pitch me, man.
The Podcoin, baby.
Yeah.
Podcoin.
Oh, the pod is coming out with a Podcoin.
It's a real
kind
thing.
of half-ass, whatever.
How dare you,
started,
Dale?
This is what's so funny about the pod is it started out as Nike's a guy in the pod. He just created the coin, and that was like on a Sunday night, guys, wasn't it? Late Sunday night.
Yeah, he was just screwing around.
Yeah, he was just messing around, and then the pod takes it to the next level, and by 2 hours after he created it, we've got a half-ass written white paper, and it's just exploded.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've had like a group of people just run with it within the group, which has been really interesting and amazing to watch, really.
I tell you what, the people that are in that group and talking are so much smarter than I am. Holy shit.
That's what I think about when I talk to everybody, like you guys included. I'm just like, I can talk a little bit of shit about what I've done, but really all it was like buying miners from dudes that like whose girlfriends didn't want them to keep them because their apartment was too hot and it was too loud and stuff, and then like put them in my my workshop and like try to keep these computers alive before my landlord finds out and kicks me out, which he actually did do. He gave me 12 hours to shut the computers off. And
jeez.
Wow.
Hilarious. But it's but that type of thing, like I find like just everybody's so fucking smart in this industry, and there's so much
crazy
for me to learn from with trading, with mining, with the technology. It's amazing. So I feel like we're all, lucky to have each other to learn from, and people from diverse backgrounds and diverse knowledge bases that we can all we all talk on the same footing because we're all equally stoked about this.
Yeah, same mindsets. Everybody's here. They want to try to see the space grow too, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's just the community, right? It's such a wicked community.
Yeah, like the way that you guys describe Podcoin sort of taking off is just like, let's create a token for shits, and let's throw it around. What would we write a white paper for about this, considering that we created it having nothing better to do on a Sunday night, and like that type of thing. Like it seems funny, but like you could build actual value out of this. Like you could be like, okay, well, you hold this is a membership token for real life events. Like you gotta show sign over this smart contract to get into this when the pod actually meets up in person at this event later in the year, right? Like you can actually use what you made just for shits and giggles, which is awesome.
That's a great idea.
Randy, I hope you're listening.
I hope you're listening, Randy.
Randall.
What do you say, Notso, is your biggest success so far in this space?
Well, I mean, I think we can all just look at the price of Bitcoin today and be, it's our shared success together, I would say.
Absolutely.
Seeing the opportunity there and seizing that opportunity with enthusiasm, with gusto. I think we all share that success story together. And it's going to keep going. The story's not over. I would say that
just getting really started.
Exactly. There's so many people that are still like they're just waking up to like some minor interest in Bitcoin, and all it's going to take is another weird financial crisis or censorship of money or like some shit with net neutrality, not letting bank account payments go through or something stupid. Like who knows what it could be? I could make all sorts of silly predictions, but this is money that's owned by people and not controlled by anybody else. And everybody has a vested interest in being able to sort of control their own destiny in that way. And,
absolutely.
And we've all got, we've all won already just by the fact that it survived and didn't die 100 times that it had been reported.
Bitcoin isn't even supposed to be alive right now, so that right there.
Yeah. I love that site that counts like every article that says Bitcoin is dead.
Yeah.
And just,
obituaries or something?
Bitcoin obituaries. Yeah, that's the one. I get a kick out of that time. They just add to the count. They keep adding.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do a new little segment we're going to test out on you, so hopefully you enjoy this. It's just going to be called Quick Answer.
All right.
So I'm going to give you two things, and you just pick one or the other. No explanation.
No thinking, just yeses and nos or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
So Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin?
Obviously, Bitcoin.
I was going to say, that one's pretty damn obvious. I could have skipped
Stuck
that
off
one.
easy.
Yeah.
the best exchange in your mind?
I just have to say that Bittrex, because of its track record, but there are always lots of good contenders going on. Binance or Binance or however you want to say it has got a lot of people very excited.
What is your personal favorite coin to mine or token?
Well, I really like the X11 currencies right now because everybody's whining because there are too many X11 mining units that were made and shipped to people. But Dash and Monetary Unit are the key ones, I think, that will be really good. And yeah.
Bitcoin prediction by the end of the year. December 31st, what is it going to be at?
We're going to ring in the new year with Bitcoin over 12,000 US dollars.
Wow, I wish I could get behind that.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on last week's episode, but you know, the sort of idea that coins tend to a little bit overshoot, you know, big numbers like 10K or $1 or $10 or whatever.
Absolutely. Blow-offs are very volatile. Like they go way further than a standard deviation, like in traditional markets.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to bullish, bearish. This is where I'll give the name of a coin token and we kind of just say if we're bullish or bearish on it and a little reasoning behind it. You're welcome to throw your 2 cents in here, but
yeah, you guys go and I'll go last.
Okay, so the first one we're going to do is Prince's favorite and Clutch's Bcash.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Bitcoin Cash. Sorry, Gian.
Well, Bcash, you know, here's my thing on Bcash. I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. I'm very neutral on it. One thing I do have to say about it is it's kind of interesting to watch now, kind of intraday charts, especially just the last few days here with Bitcoin really picking up steam. You're almost able to find, the intraday moves a little easier at times because there's kind of turning into this inverse correlation I've noticed, and it's kind of subtle right now, but I'm happy that there is something that's kind of creating a bit of an inverse correlation because it might make life a little easier when it comes to trying to hedge Bitcoin. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it's truly correlated inversely yet, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of showing little signs of it so far. But I have nothing that I want to say for bullish or bearish because somebody will probably get mad at me or
I'm
something.
kind of with you there too, man. Bcash, I do not have a really strong opinion on. The way I view it, though, is it's sort of a free hedge against your Bitcoin or sort of for your Bitcoin holdings. So in my mind, I haven't sold any of the Bcash that I got. I don't plan on selling it. So I guess in that sense, I'm bullish. I just see it as a free hedge and I don't see any reason to sell it. So I still think this miner thing is up in the air. And until that's completely clear that it's going to be Jihan and crew or, the other segment of miners, I don't see a reason to sell Bitcoin Cash and get rid of that hedge. So that's how I look at it.
Not so. What do you think?
I like it. I would say like mildly bullish. I just in the fact that I don't think it's going anywhere. And the cool thing is, the miner interplay and equilibrium and stuff is that sometimes a lot of miners from Bitcoin will switch over to Bitcoin Cash just because they can get a lot of blocks a little quicker than the 10-minute spacing because the difficulty drops to lower. So there's always going to be that sense of the hash rate split and finding equilibrium and, shifting that equilibrium. So it's not going anywhere. There's always going to be interesting plays and there's always going to be hash rate from a contender nipping at the balls of Big Daddy Bitcoin. So in a way, it kind of keeps the Bitcoin hash rate always in people's minds, and there's never going to be sort of any complacency of what miners are going to be doing. There's always interesting stuff to come, and yeah, Bitcoin Cash is definitely not going anywhere. So bullish.
Which is a good thing too, right? More competition in the space for Bitcoin. It's only going to make Bitcoin better.
Yep.
So, it's definitely not a bad thing having Bitcoin Cash around.
All right, next up is Litecoin. Killer, you want to start it?
Yeah, I'm going to go long-term bearish, actually. Short-term, I have no idea. Long-term bearish, though, I see Litecoin as sort of a test net for Bitcoin technology. And I also see a lot more competition coming out for what Litecoin really wants to do, which is transactions. You look at something like Bitcoin Cash, like we just talked about. It's potentially, it could be a very good fit for that sort of high transaction, high volume sort of blockchain. So I am bullish or bearish long term on Litecoin, I would say.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chart right now, the weekly again, and we just had our new weekly candle close a couple hours ago, new open. Its weekly candle looks really strong. So right now I'm bullish on it. I don't really get emotional, I guess, with coins. So long term, I'm not really thinking too much about this, I guess, because I wouldn't call myself an investor per se. But just looking at this weekly chart, I think it's got room to go nicely higher and make some new all-time highs probably.
Cool. Yeah, no, I would agree with you there in the short term that Litecoin's pretty bullish. I agree with you also, Killer, on like the sort of long-term bearishness where there may be a lot of other contenders that offer the same that Litecoin can kind of eat its lunch. Here's why I might be bullish on it. And again, it's something to consider from a mining perspective. So like I just said, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, they are competing for all the SHA-256 mining units out there. So with Litecoin's got the script mining units, and there are ASICs for that, which are pretty much, once there's ASICs for a currency, those are dedicated machines that can only mine Litecoin or other script coins. And Litecoin is the big daddy in the script space. Like there is not really any other second place script currency. They're all just like, they're all the other ones are like very, very distant seconds. So in a way, you could argue that Litecoin's network is even stronger than Bitcoin's because it has dedicated machines mining it that aren't ever in contention with a second place contender. And that could change, but there isn't one right now. So that's
really interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that's something to chew on, actually. So
yeah, this is like part of what's fascinating about having you on, man, is just these are perspectives, around these issues that I don't think a lot of people consider, because I think most people, the vast majority, just invest. They buy, they trade. They don't really get involved with the mining. I think that's sort of a small segment or a subsect of crypto. So to get your perspective around all this stuff has been super interesting.
No, I'm so glad to share it, man, because, mining started out as just like, you don't buy stuff. Why would you buy a currency that, you can't hold except it's a number in a wallet? Get at least a mining machine and you can sell it to a greater fool if everything turns out to go to shit. Or you at least have like GPUs you can sell to gamers. That was sort of the way people got in 3 years ago. So it's funny to see now that that's sort of turned on its head and people aren't really into it. But at the same time, I'm getting people into it because it does represent an extra knowledge edge in certain cases. And, you find that if you're going down that rabbit hole anyway, like stop on this section of the Warren to preserve the metaphor and like hang out with me with all the miners in the hot and loud area and get us another sense of like exactly how these things can be produced. And you find like little extra edges of profitability all over the place, and mining's definitely a big one.
Next one is one of my personal favorites, so to say. It's the pod coin, the real pod coin, so to say, Vert coin. I'm particularly bullish on it. I think it was Killer that really sold me on this when I first joined the pod, and I looked at the charts and it looked pretty sexy. So I got in, and we're going to 1,000, aren't we, Killer?
Absolutely. VTC 1,000. Keep an eye out. Probably by the end of the year, if I had to guess.
I'm in.
I like VTC again. I'm just pulling up a weekly chart, looking at its US dollar value, just because judging them on their Bitcoin value ratio, it's kind of tough at times because you're really playing Bitcoin's volatility. So just looking at the US dollar chart again, the weekly new candle, it looks hot. I think it's going to go higher. So
yeah, I'll agree with you guys on there. Like Vertcoin is one of those real older coins, and if you start to split currencies into sectors, which a lot of people are suggesting is a good idea to do now, Vertcoin's probably going to be in one of those like old school proof of work coin sectors that have a legacy and have all this technology and have like sort of at least feature competition with Bitcoin, or as you were saying, they're test nets for Bitcoin technology. And if you look at the market cap of Litecoin at like 4.6 billion now, and the market cap of Vertcoin, which I'm not even looking at, but I know it's way less, like the obvious...
maybe around 200 million or something.
There you go. So the obvious play is to like hedge against Litecoin and Vertcoin, because Vertcoin could and should with similar technology, and it's got its own mining algorithm too. I don't have any because it's very hard to mine. It will blow up a rig. It's so hard to mine. Yeah, it's I believe NeoScript or script N factor, and the N factor is really high, which is, I don't have to get into it, but it runs miners really hot, and it melted GPUs when it first came out. So they made it like that on purpose, so that like it would never have ASICs for it, and it's still a GPU mineable coin.
That's nuts.
Vertcoin's a cool coin in that respect too. It's carved out its own little like arrogant slice of the GPU market, which is really cool. It's got some nuts behind it.
And also, it just sort of has like a narrative behind it now too, I think, and that's important in markets. I really think it is. It has a story, decentral, ASIC resistant, that sort of thing, which became a really big story, as Bitcoin was having its problems, due to similar things. So, or, being ASIC heavy. So, I think that story is important. I think Vertcoin has kind of a following now. So I think that's another reason to be bullish on it.
Yeah, no, you guys are right. And it's interesting to see that like a coin so old is finding purchase with people sort of in the new ICO era.
Yeah, I love to see that. Like it's awesome.
I'm starting to think our $1,000 might be a little low.
Yeah, kick another zero onto that. It's gonna...
Last one, Doge. Good old Doge.
Let me pull up this chart here.
Doge. I'll put in. I have no real opinion. I don't know much about Doge, to be honest.
Doge is probably, it's one of the funniest coins to me just because of its name. But I'm bullish on Doge again. Just looking at the chart, looks like it's got another cycle kind of forming up, and we could see it pop. We're already kind of seeing it climb a little bit, so I don't got much to say about Doge, though. Like, I'm not really watching it, I'm not really playing it either, so I'm very limited on my opinion on it.
I feel like there's really not a ton to say about it. Honestly. It is what it is.
It is.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, I don't think
that's just good pick, Prince.
I don't think there's specifically active development going on, but if you look at the charts, it sort of pumps every 250-ish days. So you just kind of let it go, and then once the chart starts to turn up on the weekly, as it is right now, I mean, you saw what happened earlier in 2017 where it did. So we might get a little sooner than the 250-day mark. But it is super cheap to transact, and in the 20 Satoshi range, it's relatively stable. So if people get all antsy about Bitcoin fees or whatever, I mean, you can always use Doge. I don't think there's a ton of active development on it, though. So it's a purely technical legacy coin at this point. And if you
I think I read something on Twitter, and I don't know if this is true, but like the last GitHub commit for Doge was in like 2012 or something. I have no idea if that's accurate, but
that's hilarious because it wasn't around then. I've got
bottom line bullish.
It came out late 2013, but early Doge, maybe when the meme was first.
I'm switching my opinion to extreme bearish in light of remembering that little
it's going to the. Well, it can't go to the Doge market, so
you know what? I can't program at all, but I think I'm going to go make a commit or whatever that is. Even I don't know. In the Doge GitHub.
Do it.
It literally is just a post in GitHub. You can commit like this was a stupid change. Hi mom. Basically, you can make a commit that says hi mom.
You guys got any pod highlights for the week that need to be shared?
I wasn't even really around in the pod this week.
I think just like talking about the pod coin has been kind of interesting.
I know. Where to start, really? I mean, geez, you leave for an hour and you come back to 500 messages. So there's a lot going on.
Nice.
Since
you got to be on your phone steady if you're going to keep up. So
since we started this, we've gotten 230 messages. So
and
that's slow.
Had to give up on trying to keep track of everything in there.
Yeah, we average like almost 200 messages per hour every single day. So it's pretty. It's a lot to keep up with for sure.
Yeah, it's a lively community, but that's really good.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Natso, I want to thank you for being on. Really, I think really great content there for anyone that's interested in mining, and anyone listening. We'll get those websites that Natso commented. We'll put those in on the description on iTunes and YouTube. So if you want to check them out and don't have a free hand to write it down, we'll go ahead and get that up. Anyone want to close with anything?
Thank you, Natso. It was awesome having you on, man.
Oh man, no, you guys, honestly, thanks for having me. I hope the pod dudes are interested in what I had to say.
Oh
yeah, absolutely, they will be. I just want to say thank you again as well. Having your perspective has been really kind of a special thing, I think, for all of us. Like I said, again, I think most people come to this with sort of an investing background or sort of just a buy and, see it increase mindset. But to see the other side of it, kind of the behind the scenes action, the sort of skeleton of, the body that is crypto and see what kind of holds it up and keeps it running and is pretty fascinating to see. Sure.
Well, there's lots of ways to make money in this space. So mining's just one more. I'm happy to answer questions all the time. However I can help. We all win when we all know about more ways to earn from the space and more ways to gain knowledge or experience or finances from it. Right. So.
Absolutely.
Watch your DMs blow up now, Natso.
Kaboom.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for next episode and remember to tip your waitress.
Later.
Later.